Joey Alfieri covers all things Montreal for TSN 690, and he's a good friend of ours. Joins us today from La Belle Province. How you doing, Joey?
I'm doing good. It could be great, but it's snowing here. So just good, not great.
People are talking about this all across the country. Finally, we are not. It's a nice day. I'm wearing shorts. I'm wearing shorts here today. You probably are too, my man. But let's start here, by the way. Montreal Canadiens, Edmonton Oilers. There's some upset Oiler fans with the results last night. The Habs winning in Edmonton. Corey Perry, they say, taking a dive on the McDavid elbow. But more than anything, I came out of this saying, what a remarkable playoff series it would be if it was Oilers Habs.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to need some help to get there, though, because I don't think they'll match up in the first round. But I think that's probably the matchup that Montreal would like the most. They've played Toronto and Winnipeg pretty tough, but with the Oilers, for whatever reason, I mean, it just seems like, and you saw it last night, they seem like they're in McDavid and Draisaitl's head, and more often than not, they kind of leave them, both those superstars, frustrated. I kind of look at it the other way. There's a couple games in a row now, or two out of the last three anyway, where Connor McDavid lets those elbows fly quite a bit against Montreal. So you look at the damage that he's done against the other teams across the league or across the Canadian division this year anyway. And really, by comparison, the Canadiens have done a really, really nice job limiting him.
Well, and let's talk about that for a second. And here's the thing. I'm not saying that they're probably not going to line up in round one, but they could very easily line up in round two. I mean, they're going to have to meet, if they're as good as we think, somewhere down the line in the playoffs. Are they going out of their way to get in McDavid's kitchen? Like, I see they're knocking him all over the place, but that's playoff hockey. Like, I just don't think Connor, he's got to get used to this.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, and I think he will. I mean, he's too talented to not be able to fight through it anyway. But it's clear. I mean, look, the Canadiens, it's very obvious that they do not have a high-end offensive star like a lot of the other top teams in the Canadian division, right? So how do they do it? You look at what they did in the bubble last year and how they left Crosby and Malkin frustrated, and they end up knocking out the Penguins, in the play-in round, and they end up running out of gas against the Flyers. And I don't know how far they can go this year because they've kind of been up and down after the first 10, 12 games of the season. But it's clear that the way for them to win and have success is to go after the other team's star player and limit the damage they can do, get in their head. They made Daisaitl take a pretty bad penalty. There was an interference penalty after the whistle was blown that he took on Joel Edmondson, and that resulted in the 3-1 goal that the Canadiens got in the third period. McDavid took a couple bad penalties as well. So I think that's how you kind of throw them off. Now, look, as much as they've had success against the two Oilers superstars, on the other side with Toronto, Marner and Matthews have eaten them alive for whatever reason. But yeah, I think the Canadiens are going to be a tough out no matter who they play. It's just about whether or not they can get on the right track before the end of the season. Because, look, Calgary's not done. Vancouver's technically not done yet. But it would take a lot. It's a minor miracle for the Canadiens to be caught in fourth place. So it's all about ironing out the kinks and playing your best hockey come playoff time. And if they can do that, I think they're a team that you probably don't want to face because they can get in your face. They can be nasty.
Yes, and we're weeks away from potential matchups, but I would take Habs goaltending against just about anybody but Winnipeg, where it would just be a saw-off more than anything. Carey Price is proven. Look, I don't mind, even though we're in the West, there's so many Canadiens fans out here, and you know that. Joey, you're a Montreal guy. So the move to replace Claude Julien with Dominic Ducharme's paid dividends, I guess. Is it already a win, or do they need to go deep in the playoffs for Ducharme to have the interim tag taken off?
Yeah, I don't think it's a win by any means just yet. The numbers are skewed, and everybody here likes to point out the win-loss record, and Claude Julien had a better record when he was fired than Dominic Ducharme has now. I think it's a little bit misleading just because of the way they started off. And look, I don't think anybody expected them to keep rolling the way they were rolling early on. I mean, they took advantage of Vancouver was absolutely brutal at the beginning of the year. And Montreal was able to dominate them a couple of times. They played Toronto tight, like I said. They played Winnipeg tight. for whatever reason, Calgary and Ottawa, the hardworking teams, have given the Canadiens a really difficult time. But no, I think to a certain extent, to your point about the interim tag being removed, I think he does have to go on a playoff run. I think they have to have some success. And I kind of think that the general manager, Marc Bergevin, and Dominic Ducharme are now kind of attached at the hip. To me, it's like if Ducharme isn't the guy, does Bergevin get to hire somebody else? That's a big question. He hired Michel Therrien when he first got the job. He got to fire Therrien, got to hire Claude Julien. Now he's got one more year left on his contract that runs through 2022. So it's tough. Like this is an interesting situation for the Canadiens because the future could look as bright as it looks. It could look very different.
Oh boy!
Heaven forbid.
Okay, you're good. Or is he good? Oh, we had to drop him for a sec. Oh, man. Okay. Well, he answered most of the question. And then, okay, Joey, you answered most of the question. You said that they were looking good, or he's been looking good, and we'll see where we go. Any final thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, just I don't know what you guys caught or didn't catch, but I think with Marc Bergevin, his job is very much tied to Ducharme right now. He's in the final year of his contract. And if the Canadiens don't want to drop the interim tag on Dom Ducharme, does Marc Bergevin get to hire another head coach? That's the big thing. He's already hired two. Does he get another one? I'm not convinced.
Let's switch to football now. Joey, we've got some great mutual friends in the Canadian Football League, and one of them was telling me the other day, he said, you got to talk to Joey. He's got some very passionate feelings about the CFL. And so let's talk about that. In Montreal is a tremendous CFL town, yet an Angus Reid poll, as you know, last summer said the NFL, Quebecers said the NFL is more popular in that province than the CFL. What does the August 5th target date announcement do for you, and what does it mean to football fans where you live?
Well, look, it's something, right? Like we'd all been hearing different things behind the scenes and off the record, but we never had anything really concrete. And finally, they decided to come out with a plan because, look, first of all, I think the plan came out way too late. First things first, because there's so many people, media and fans and players, by the way, as well, that have kind of just been left frustrated because there's been a lack of transparency and a lack of direction from the league. So I think I'm at least hopeful now. There is something to look forward to. Whether or not it happens, I don't know, but at least there's something concrete on paper that they've presented to us, which is encouraging. And look, the Angus Reid poll is what it is, Roddy. It's fact. The reality is that my closest friends and I are all huge football fans, and I'm the only one who follows the Canadian Football League and followed it before I became, before it became my job, and I'll continue to follow it after, it's not my job anymore to follow it because I'm passionate about the league, the product, and the players, and I think it has more to do with fantasy football than anything else. Some of my friends are very casual football fans that are really into it because we're all in the same fantasy football league and we all have different degrees of success. So that's a topic for a different day. But I think it's, I don't know, like it kind of frustrates me because I love both like you do. And so I'm not biased. And I can tell you that the Canadian Football League is way more exciting than a lot of the games I watch in the NFL week in, week out. I think it's just a fact. It's reality. But there's some people that can't get their mind wrapped around 3 downs or wider field or extra player. And I don't get it. I don't understand why you won't give it enough of a chance because you're probably going to be more entertained. I'll be honest with you, I'm a little concerned because there was all that positive momentum built up for the Als in 2019, momentum that they hadn't had in this market for such a long time. And now you've taken a year off and it's more like a year and a half off now. And a lot of that momentum has been halted. So I don't know what their season ticket base looks like. I don't know that there's much of a buzz around here. You have your hardcore fans, don't get me wrong, but it's just frustrating to see that a team that essentially has struggled so badly for the better part of half this decade finally found a quarterback, found some good players. They have some strong people in the front office, strong football people, and now all of a sudden you've been halted. So a lot of that momentum stops, and I'm just I'm hoping you just don't know what it's going to look like after a year and a half. Are the Tiger Cats still going to be good? Are the Owls still going to be good? Who knows? It's been almost 2 years since anybody's played.
Yeah, and I'm going to get to the viewer comments. We'll save those a little later on because it's just Joey and I now. But I was saying to my wife last night, and she was like, I wonder what this player's doing. I wonder what that player's doing. And I said, look at Cody Fajardo. He's literally in the prime of his career. VA finally gets his chance. And this happens. And as you know, the average pro football career is now 1.5 seasons, which they're about to lose 1.5 seasons in the CFL, right? But I don't feel sorry for the Alouettes. 09-10 Grey Cup. Forget it. So they'll be fine. The other thing is, if you have enough belief in your product, it would be an easy sell getting people back to Montreal. Why did I fall in love with the NBA, CEBL, NLL? It was because people said, hey, come on, just come to a game. Come and you'll love it. And they were right. Mm-hmm. So sitting on the side of a mountain watching CFL football overlooking downtown Montreal, won't take much to get people back hooked, I don't think. Right? But lastly, your thoughts on the XFL, CFL, because you said we both love NFL, CFL. How about the third X factor, the XFL? Where are you on those talks?
Yeah, you know what? It's something that I've obviously given a lot of thought to. And at first, I wanted to be open-minded. I wanted to give it some thought. And initially, I went on the air and I mentioned to my audience that I was willing to be open-minded about some of the changes that have been proposed. I was even open to, if somebody can convince me going from 3 downs to 4 downs could help generate more fans, then I was going to be open-minded to that. But, I've kind of caught myself thinking over the last couple of weeks, why? Why do I have to be open-minded about this? Why does the hardcore CFL fan have to be open-minded about this? Why does our game and our Canadian values, why do those things have to be compromised? And I think, I don't know how closely you guys have followed the Super League story out in Europe there, what they want to do. But, you look at the fan bases out there, and they've wrestled control from the owners back. And the fans were loud and were outspoken. And, the Super League looks like it's dead in the water now. And I get the same vibe, and it's not to take shots at the people that are in place ownership-wise across the Canadian Football League now, but they're not all necessarily guys who have been around the league for a large number of years. And I think that they're so concerned about the eyeballs that they don't have that they always forget to take care of and to kind of nurture the eyeballs that they do have. And it's unfortunate, but that's where we are right now in 2021. That's the sports landscape, the business side of it anyway, is that it's always about the people you don't have and the eyeballs you don't have. And I think to the people who are hardcore and who have been there with you since day one, that can get kind of frustrating. So I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I tried AAF, I tried XFL, and I stuck with them for the first couple of weeks, but the tackle play wasn't good enough for me. The quarterback play wasn't good enough from top to bottom. So you want to add teams. Do you even have enough talent? Is there enough football talent to go all the way around? I don't know. I'm curious to see where we go from here. But why do we have to sacrifice the amount of Canadians on a roster? Why do we have to sacrifice the rules? If they don't sacrifice anything and the XFL kind of embraces the Canadian football way, listen, I'm open to anything, but I still don't get, as bad as the business model is for the CFL, and the owners will try to convince you of that, even though we haven't seen any numbers. I think there's got to be another way. There's got to be another way to do this, and I think XFL should be the last avenue they take before. I don't know, man. It's kind of frustrating. Before they look for solutions, outside the league, I think that should be the last resort. I think they should try to find a solution within Canada.
Well, just back to where you started that on the Super League thing, I'm following it a bit. I know you're a huge soccer guy. I'm opening my mind to soccer because everybody's asking me to, so I am. And our colleague, yours and mine, Gary Lawless, said the CFL belongs to Canadians, not these owners. But I think the owners would disagree. And the fact of the matter is they own the league, and they're going to do with it what they want. So they're the ones that need to be convinced that it shouldn't be changed, because I think they want to change it. Joey, we're out of time. Always a great visit, my man. Thank you for this. Let's keep in touch.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
TSN 690, Montreal's Joey Alfieri joining us on video chat today from Quebec.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.